Now, I'd like to talk to you a little about motorcycling for the next couple of minutes, because official figures show that bikers are 38 times more likely to be killed on our roads than car drivers. So, what can be done to help? Well, in a moment, we'll be hearing about the first smartphone app that's been certified for use in 999 emergencies. Phil Davis is a biker from Middlesbrough who's been using the Real Rider app and has told Hannah McMahon it's boosted his confidence.
It's just a friendly app that you can have in your pocket, but you know you're safe with it as well. I've been using it now for a couple of years, and I couldn't say anything better than knowing that it's there with you. There was a story a couple of months ago where a lad come off and he was found in the ditch 4 hours later. Knowing that you got this in your pocket, as long as you make sure that you got it running, you know that you're going to be safe.
So it detects if you crash and then connects to the nearest ambulance service, is that right?
It will just basically ring the ambulance for you. So you know that you do have an off, which everyone's going to at some point. Whether you're in a group or on your own, if you've got a pillion on as well, it's ideal for them to have it because they could be thrown somewhere totally different to where you've landed. So either of you can be found, you could both be unconscious, both be found. So 100%, I'd have it all the time. So.
And if you do come off, but you are okay, you can then tell the ambulance service...
Yeah, you can deactivate it. If you come off and you're fine, you're up walking and you're fine, you can deactivate it. If you feel that you want an ambulance, obviously you can call it yourself then. But otherwise, yeah, as long as you're physically moving it and you can turn it off and you feel fine, then you can that's fine.
Do you think we can, as a bit of a sceptic, that we can rely on this technology? If we put all our faith into an app, technology can go wrong, things can go wrong with it.
I suppose it's like anything technical. There is flaws with everything technical. Things can go wrong. Your phone might run out of battery, then it's not going to work. As long as your phone's fully charged, I'm still 100%.
But it's having confidence in technology.
You've got to have confidence in technology, otherwise you're not going to use it. So, but the way the day and age is now, you've got to rely on technology a lot of the time.
Do you want to know more? The Shoop Shoop song, and before that you heard from the biker from Middlesbrough who's been using this new app, Real Rider, whilst out on the roads. It's been created by Real Safe Technologies. It's the first app to be given official certification for use in 999 emergencies. What does all that mean? Well, let's find out from Andrew Richardson, one of the creators of the app. Hi, Andrew.
Good evening, Mark.
So this 999 certification, explain what that means and why it's important.
Well, I mean, we started this whole process something like 4 years ago, and the process was set up to help those app developers who are wishing to connect with 999, and there was no accreditation scheme. We'd already identified there was an issue with paramedics trying to find riders who had been thrown from their motorcycles, and that's when we started working with the North East Ambulance Service back in 2011. So we knew there was an issue. We started building the technology, but we needed to really understand more about what the NHS required, what paramedics required from that technology, and that's what got us going. Subsequently, the accreditation process was then formed by the government's 999 Liaison Committee, and we started that journey, and that journey's taken us effectively 2 years' worth of a pilot stage and to become the first government-approved app. So very, very, very proud for us in the region.
So that's what the certification means, that the government has said, yes, your app can link in to the 999 service.
Yes, absolutely. And we spent 2 years plus with as a UK-wide pilot with the North East Ambulance Service. So they basically would call the ambulance service nearest to where the rider had fallen off. That's with the current app. The new app that we're building, which is due out shortly, and anybody wanting that can register at our website for interest. Effectively, all crash alerts that are generated from our new app will go through the BT-operated 999 service, and that's a UK-wide service, making us the first to send the data. And it's interesting because we use the data a little bit like how your kind of Ford or motor vehicles are starting to send stuff in to BT. We're actually more advanced because we send the medical information of the rider from the app. And we also use something called downstream satellite data, which is more accurate as a kind of GPS location than normal sat-nav in a phone. So it's all about the paramedic or the air ambulance knowing where the rider is, not necessarily where the bike is.
And often these accidents can happen on windy roads out in the country that are so popular with motorcycle riders. So I'm on my bike. I've suddenly come off my bike. I perhaps have hit something that I didn't see around a bend. I've ended up in a ditch. I'm really not in a good way. Maybe I'm unconscious. What does my phone do, and how can it help?
And that's the key for us, is that, we are protecting against the riders, and like myself, and I go out in the country as well, and if something happened, it detects that impact, and then what we do is we go through a process, and that process is to determine whether the rider's up and moving around. So we monitor the accelerometer within the phone. We also monitor the satellite data. So effectively, if you don't move and you're knocked unconscious, the phone generates a 2-minute alarm. Of which, if you don't cancel it at that point, that's when it sends your location, your medical information, your phone number via the 999 service, obviously when the new app comes out. And that is then picked up by the regional ambulance service that's nearest to the location. So we are protecting against those riders that are knocked unconscious. And that's my worst fear, and the guys I ride with particularly, is how are you going to be found? So for a paramedic, knowing your medical information, knowing where you are, knowing your phone number makes it a much better way of being able to get you to hospital quickly.
This is something new, though. How reliable is the technology? Because no paramedic, no ambulance service is going to thank you, Andrew, if you're dispatching ambulance vehicles and the fella's sitting having a cup of tea in a cafe.
Absolutely, and that's why we did a pilot, and in the last 12 months, our false activation rates were 0.01%, which was good enough for the BT and the accreditation process to say, right, you've achieved that. But more importantly, we've introduced lots and lots of different features and lots of safeguards. Auto pause means that if you do stop for coffee, Real Safe, which is the crash detection element, has already paused. We can't allow the app to trigger when you sat having a coffee. It's a different story if you crashed into the coffee shop. Clearly, the app would then go off. But no, it is about protecting the NHS, protecting the ambulance service. We have a duty of care, which is why we've done this trial, and which is why we refined the whole process, and which is why we got government sign-off.
And does it matter that because nobody is phoning 999, be it the person who's had the accident themselves or a passerby, paramedics aren't actually getting full information, are they? They will, in a sense, have to be sometimes attending blind.
I think the interesting thing is if you get a crash and a rider's been thrown from the motorcycle, and then a member of the public comes by and sees and reports it, that actually helps validate the real rider alert, because once it goes into the BT system, it's then entered into the 999 system that's obviously operational UK-wide, and it becomes part of a reported incident. And the more people that would then maybe come along and ring 999, it actually helps to validate that process. But effectively, the information that we send and why it's been approved is that they will treat that as an emergency, and they will have all of the data. It comes in through the BT service, of which they've approved this through our testing, and effectively they treat it as a unique crash alert from a motorcyclist under the 999 accreditation scheme.
Sounds really exciting. So you've had 2 years of testing. How long have we got to wait before the new updated app is available to all those who want to go out on their bikes?
Oh, the $1 million question. We are nearly there. We are weeks away at the moment. It's because we're adding lots and lots of new features and lots of fun stuff, lots of social stuff, utilities. It's the biggest app we've ever created, and these things take a bit of time. But anybody interested in it, if they go to realrider.com, if they register, we will let them know as soon as it's available. And there's a lot of films on there, FAQs. They can get in touch with us and the team on Facebook and Twitter if they have any other questions. But not long, iOS will be out first, followed by Android. We are working as quickly as we can to get this out.
All the best with that, Andrew. Thanks for coming on. Andrew Richardson, talking about the Real Rider app, which will be out, as you've heard, very soon.